Shout out to Kop-Ish.
Shout out to Kopish, guys.
Keep all the good work
the
up.
two legends, Emil Heskey, Howard Gill. Can't get much better than that, guys. Yeah. You know what to do now. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm with legends, guys.
Kop-Ish.
Hey, good evening, lovely people. Hope you're well and welcome back to another live match preview. This time it is a Liverpool versus Leeds United, the game in hand that could potentially put us 3 points within Manchester City. Massive game, massive game. In the reverse fixture, we beat Leeds 3-0 away from home. However, the game was marred by the injury to Harvey Elliott. However, he is back. We are back. Leeds are back. And we're delighted to be joined by Anthony, who represents LS11. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you guys. Nice to be on the channel. I'm looking forward to an easy 3 points tomorrow.
Welcome to the Lions then. Drifty, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Kind of ironic because Anthony's been the talk of the town, as in the Brazilian one that we should be signing in June, you know what I mean? So, you know, people might have saw Anthony and thought, oh my days, Kopish have actually done it.
Rather you getting them Rafinha, that's for sure.
So, Anthony, obviously, we've been in touch through a mutual friend, and I've got to put you on the spot here. He says your nickname is Toenails.
What? That's
Not a Paul Scholes situation, is it? Or...
Definitely not. It's people at work will call me Tony, that's short for Anthony, and then boss comes in and says, Tony, oh, that sounds like toenails. All right, new guy, you're called Toenails from now on, so that's it. That's literally it. Just literally, so now like everyone in the office is calling me that, but I'm happy. I'm good. It's fine.
It's always the way, isn't it? It's always the way. Yeah, I've got a friend that we tease him all the time now because I won't say his real name, but he said his name one time at college, and then the guy ran the common room just went, so I'm gonna call you Toby for short, yeah? And then we all just looked and was like, what? And then we all just started bursting out laughing because it was just the most random nickname that he could have picked, and then it just stuck, and then everyone just started calling him Toby. He's like, it's got nothing to do with like, yeah. So it's always the way, isn't it? Always the way.
Like Luke Ayling, our right back, that he just gets called Bill. Like everyone at the club knows him as Bill. There's no meaning behind it at all. It's just from when he was at Arsenal as an academy lad, and they just started calling him Bill, like for no apparent reason. Like,
so random.
Like all the Leeds fans are like, everyone's still asking each other, like, why are we calling him Bill? Just like, that's what he likes to be called now. Not like
that's like Aspilicueta at Chelsea, they called him Dave for a while, didn't they? Because they couldn't pronounce his name, a lot of them, so they just called him Dave. It happened. Drifty and Matt called me Wasteman when I first started with Kopish, but we moved anyway.
The lies. we would do no such thing.
But before we get into the proceedings, guys, we have to shout out our sponsor, Fansbet. Make sure you check out Fansbet, guys. Click the link in the YouTube video description. There are some great odds with Fansbet at the moment. As you can see, first goal scorer odds. You've got Salah, you've got Mane, you've got D9, the GOAT, Origi, you've got Minamino, and you've got Luis Diaz to pick from. Obviously, no Jota and Firmino. And also, you've got the odds on whether Liverpool win, draw, or Leeds win as well. So, guys, make sure you register with Fansbet. Get your first £10 bet and get £30 free, plus 10 free spins on registration. What are you waiting for, guys? Click the link and head over to Fansbet now. Right, so Anthony, I'm going to start with you. Leeds United last season, they were kind of seen as, they were sort of everyone's sort of second club, apart from Man United, obviously, but they were everyone's second club. Everyone's enjoyed watching them. They were really entertaining to watch. You knew it was going to be an entertaining game. However, this season, it's kind of been a bit rough for you guys. What would you say has been the reason for the sort of, I won't say demise, but not reaching the levels you hit last season?
It's a mixture of things, really. Obviously, last year we had momentum coming out of the Championship. We were like, honestly, that summer after the COVID break, we just looked unstoppable. We could have carried on playing up until the winter from the last season, and we just wouldn't have been beaten. And we came into that new season with a few new faces, and we managed to sort of stamp our unique way of playing in the Premier League. No one had ever come across really before. I mean, last time we were compared to any team to be like that in the Premier League, it was sort of Keegan's Newcastle, sort of just in your face, all out sort of gung ho football in a way, but with so much energy that it just blew teams away at times. We kept key players fit for a long time last season. Without them being fit the full season, Calvin Phillips always has a big injury in a season. It's just this season's been the worst for the lad, and history tells you look at any stats from when Bielsa's come in. Once Calvin Phillips drops out the team, you can't get a string of 2 good results together. It just doesn't happen. So Phillips going out has been a massive loss to us. But then it's other parts of the field, all over the field, that just the energy hasn't been the same. Like that's what did it for us last season, was we were just fitter and we had more endeavour against teams that they just couldn't cope with that, really. Like, it doesn't matter if we were conceding, we kept going and kept going and kept going. That's why we had so many high scoring games last year where we'd come out on top, because teams just couldn't deal with us up until the last 20 minutes. They just run out of steam in a way. The energy levels just haven't been the same this year at all. They've just not been there. For whatever reason, the injuries have been dreadful, I know. And then up against the sort of big 6 teams, we've never really performed. We did at the back end of last season, where Bielsa seemed to adapt in a way that most teams that visit or have teams such as Liverpool, Man United visit us, which is, 2 flat banks of 4 and soak up the pressure and smash on the counter attack. And that's why we went to Man City last year and won. That's not something we used to see, and we don't see that this year. We've dropped straight out of that. We've thrown that out the window, even though it got us 7 out of 8 wins going into the summer. We were the most in the top 3 informed teams in the league at the back end of last season.
I was going to say, because you made it difficult for us last season. I remember the first game of the season, we thought, not in a bad way, but we thought we were going to win the game comfortably, and it was one of our toughest games of the season last season. Like, you just end to end, back and forth. And then even the second game we played each other, it finished 1-1. And again, it was a tough game. So, like, it's weird seeing you this season. Like, again, Drift, I don't know if you remember the 3-0 game, but we had loads of chances in that game. Like, we could have, with all due respect, Anthony, we could have beaten you guys like 6-7-0 on the day. And it was weird watching Leeds like that, because it was just like, that's never happened before since we've seen them back in the league. Sorry. So it's like Drift, I know you're a big fan of Leeds and you definitely don't want them to go down, but do you think they can turn it around? Obviously, after this game, like, we don't want them turning it around tomorrow, but do you think they can turn it around?
I was looking at Leeds fixtures, and I know some teams are an exception to the rule, like a Norwich or a Burnley, for example, where this season they've gone multiple games without winning, or they've lost 4 games in a row or 5 games in a row, whatever. But the general consensus in football is that you'll never just keep losing, because, like, the general rule is at some point you'll get a result. I'm looking at Leeds. They had Man U, and then they got us, then they got Tottenham. I'm looking at it, I'm like, law of averages tells you they're going to get points out of one of these games, right? So I'm not worried in that way, but then I'm thinking, as I said, there's been a lot of teams this season where they have gone 4 or 5 losses in a row, like Norwich and Burnley. So maybe it could happen. So it's a weird one for Leeds. I'm a little concerned, because if you lose 3 games in a row while others are picking up points around you, well, whoever's in the battle you're in, Europa League battle, Champions League battle, relegation battle, whichever battle you're in, you got to get a little bit worried. So I don't think Leeds are in immediate danger, but Newcastle are picking up form. Burnley is starting to win games. Norwich aren't pushovers anymore. Even Watford just pulled off a madness the other day. So you're thinking, wow, they might get dragged into it if they don't sort this out. Do you get what I mean? So I am a little worried for Leeds. I am. And I do hope that even if they lose to Liverpool and they lose to Tottenham, they can bounce back after that. Because obviously you've got the opposite of momentum when you keep losing. Your morale goes, and then you just and then the next game's harder and harder. So yeah, I am a little worried. I'm a little worried about Leeds. I think the thing is, the squad. I mean, Anthony can let me know if I'm wrong on this. The squad to me don't seem big enough to play the type of football they play at a high level. I think in the Championship, where it's a lot less quality, but it's more about attitude and endeavour and effort, you'll be all right. Because if you run out of steam, maybe teams might not have the ability to kill you off. But when you're in the Premier League with the world-class up echelon players, once you're knackered, they will pick you off. And even a team who's kind of not playing well, like Man United, still managed to pick Leeds off once they got tired in the game, because sometimes that quality can just shine through at the end. So I feel like Bielsa really should have about 7 or 8 extra players in that squad to play that intense football at this level. I don't know. That's just my observation on it.
No, it's right, and he won't do it. He just is. I love him, and he's changed my club forever, and he's made me fall back in love with my club. And I'll never have an inch of me that wants him to leave at all. But he needs to adapt. It's simple as that. He just has to adapt. If we're to stay in this league again this year, we'll have a summer there, and we need to use that summer, because it's not worked this year. It's, last year we had momentum. I know we brought in a few players that did help us, to be fair, but I mean, they were out half of the year. And I think the club have just looked at it that way, and Bielsa's probably looked at it. 9th place finish with a relatively thin squad. The only outgoing we had this year was Alioski, and Firpo came in. They probably thought, well, we need to get through to next summer, make sure the revenue start getting back into the club from the fans, and then we can go again. And that was naive to think that they could just go through it with no business. When this can happen at any time. The injuries have been. We average 4 injuries a game. We always have at least 4 men out. Yeah, 4 men. This is since Bielsa's been here, by the way. Since Bielsa came, we've always had at least 4 key injuries in the team. And eventually, it was always going to bite us on the ass when you've got amazing quality around you in the Premier League and teams around us improving as well. So it's not works, and he does need to adapt. And he did adapt. The back end of last year, we adapted to how we needed to play with our injuries. And it's not the best football, but we have got the players to counter-attack. We have perfectly set up to counter-attack. We've got James, Rafinha, Rodrigo, players that can just cause trouble with pace, and he doesn't use them that way. He makes them track back and go into this man-marking system that when you've got unbelievable quality on the other side, they're just going to pick you off. You saw Paul Pogba just playing with Adam Forshaw like a cat and mouse. Like it was ridiculous. Like Adam Forshaw against Pogba in a man-marking system. It's baffling, really. So, what are Liverpool going to do?
Hopefully win and win comfortably.
Absolutely mad.
Gonna read a couple of super chats because I think there's a few questions in here for you. So Ronaldinho Goat says playing Leeds equals every Bundesliga game in terms of the openness. A-Spec says, Anthony, do you rate Bielsa? In my opinion, he's overrated. His tactics are win your individual battles and stick to your man. That gives me Sunday League vibes. That's literally what you just said, pretty much, in terms of the man marking.
Yeah, I mean, the man marking. I mean, the way that when it works, it works. It works well. Like we blow teams away. Every man has to be perfect 100% of the time. If any cog in that system is off, we just get picked off in a second. And when it's 100% from start to finish, we are scary good. Like we can be amazing. And we saw that against West Ham. Last time we saw it, we were absolutely blowing them away. And obviously they got a couple of goals from corners because we can't defend corners. But that's the one time this season where I thought, wow, we'll stay up with what we've got. We absolutely blew them away. That's when it works. When it doesn't work, it's 7-0 away at Man City and stuff like that. So, yeah.
A-Spec says, Anthony, there's also been a lot of talk about Rafinha moving on this summer. But the elephant in the room is actually Calvin Phillips potentially moving on. So firstly, do you think he will move on, Calvin Phillips? And also, who would be a bigger loss, Calvin Phillips or Rafinha, in your opinion?
Phillips would be the much bigger loss. I don't think he'll go this summer. Not to say that I don't think he'll go eventually, depending on what his ambitions are. He has said he's not come out and been so open like Grealish has with his boyhood club saying he wants to win the Champions League, he wants to win the Premier League. Phillips hasn't said that. He's only talked about how he wants to take Leeds to the next level. And everything, all sources close to him have said that he wants to stay this summer and beyond. So I'm not really worried about Phillips, although if he did move on, I don't think there'd be any adulation from Leeds fans. I think he's done so much for us. He's improved so much. He's obviously an England Player of the Year now. I can see him going to the likes of Man City or somewhere like that. Fernandinho's come into his sort of end, and Rodri needs some backup. So I could see him go there, but I don't think it'll happen this summer. Rafinha will go this summer, and I think he'll probably go at you guys. If you haven't already looked at the likes of Anthony and other players like that, which will probably be our only hope there, because I didn't think at first when he was going to be signing his contract, but now he's put stoppers on that. It just looks like he's going. So the one thing with Rafinha is this: if we stay up, his release clause is £75 million. If we go down, his release clause is £25 million. So this is allegedly from an article in the Telegraph today, who don't really get along with this.
I'm laughing because Drifty's face has gone from I like Leeds to they might have to go down now.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing about you, bro. You see, everybody's demeanor was like, they'll come straight back up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. For 25 mil for Rafinha.
Yeah,
that's a Liverpool signing. 75 mil, we're not gonna do that. But 25 mil, yeah, that's a Liverpool signing right there.
We would do that in no time.
Yeah, exactly.
Says, Anthony, would you take Naby Keita to Leeds?
Oh my God, snap your hand off, of course. Bloody hell. Like, I don't know. I'd go and pick him up myself, definitely. Anything in centre midfield, anything. Like, so there's
on that note, Anthony, because as bigger teams, we do this very ignorantly. I think we all do. The supporters of like the top 4 teams, for example, we don't look down on the mid-table teams, but we kind of maybe have a feeling that like you would want the players we don't want. So like when you support like a mid-table club, is it looked at as disrespectful, or is it kind of like, no, like we get it, he might not be on your level? Because for example, I want Curtis Jones to go on loan to a team like Brighton, because I think they play very good football and he'll get a year worth of football in him. And I'm thinking right now, like, for example, Leeds, he may not be able to handle the intensity of the way you play with his injury record, but I think someone like Ox in your team would be very good. He's an experienced player, goal scorer, midfielder, etc., etc. So would you guys take those type of players, or is it disrespectful that we just think because you're a lower club, you just want players we clearly don't think are good enough?
No, I mean, big 6 clubs have quality beyond imaginable. Like, you've got 2-3 teams worth of amazing players that you wouldn't even see half at time. They need football. They need to be filtered down the leagues. Look at Conor Gallagher. Look at players like that from Chelsea who are going down the leagues and, performing really highly. That Brozier at Southampton, just players that they won't use. And those players have ambitions. They have to come off the bench, and they'll do an amazing job for the likes. Like Leeds, Bielsa said no to Donny van der Beek. He said no to Harry Winks in January. Got offered to him on a play, and he said no, and he went to Everton. And Leeds fans were up in arms about it. They would just, what a job he would do for us right now, just in centre midfield, just fill a gap. Like, there's just such a hole there right now, and I mean, that's just our particular thing. In regards to your question about disrespect, it just depends on the situation, I suppose. Like, and the player you're talking about, like the players that you've just mentioned there, Oxlade-Chamberlain or Curtis Jones, I think they'd walk into any of the top bottom 10 sides, to be honest. Like, they're really sort of highly performing players consistently. That's what a lot of teams need at that level, I suppose, and especially ours right now. Okay, like especially under a manager like Bielsa, because Bielsa's track record with players who have come in on loan is he's improved them. Ben White is where he is because of Bielsa. Like, he's come up Leeds from Newport and Peterborough on loan. He's come into Leeds to replace Pontus Jansson. Who is this guy? And he's the best defender we've had since Rio Ferdinand, Jonathan Woodgate. He was unbelievable for us, and we wouldn't have got promoted without him. And that's Bielsa playing him in that system. He was just perfect. So Bielsa, he is a manager that would be able to take these players and improve them, which is why we got offered so many loan players by the big six clubs, because they know Bielsa's track record with improving players. But Bielsa wasn't having it. He just wasn't having it. He wants his squad. He wants his favourites, and he wants to be able to carry us through without having to rely on loan players anymore. And I don't know what the situation is. I don't know what the situation is there, but it's really risky now. Like, we're one injury away, I'd say, in midfield from utter collapse, really. So I'm hoping we have enough to go through, because we do have quality in attacking positions. It's just, at the back, it's bad. It's bad, man. It's really bad.
Insightful, very insightful. But we are gonna get into potential predictions for a starting 11. So we're gonna also bring in Matt as well. Big up, Matt. Go to the show, bro.
What's going on, people? What's going on?
Not too bad.
Boys. So, guys, am I lagging, or is it okay?
No, you're fine.
Is it okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You're good.
Drift, I'm gonna start with you. Obviously, can't predict Klopp starting 11, because let's be honest, none of us would have predicted how he started against Norwich. Who would you like to see start this game?
Right, I know the Leeds game is going to be a lot harder than the Norwich game, and the Norwich game gave us a little bit of a rude awakening that making a lot of changes could have potentially ended up wrong. So I'm not going to be disrespectful in who I would put out, even though we got to think about the cup final. So I would go Matip and Ibu as the pairing. I'd bring Trent back in, and I would play Tsimikas, but I would be making sure Robbo gets half an hour in his legs to be ready for the final. I'd bring Flacco back in for midfield, and I'd start Thiago, try and get the lead, and then bring on another player like a Milner or a Henderson that can shore it up and see it out. I want us to be leading, not chasing like we were against Norwich. So that's how I feel. And in the midfield role, in front of those two, I feel bad for Ox because he had a bad game last game, but I don't necessarily think we should judge him on that, because he's had brilliant games and he has been a bit indecent. So I'm tempted to play Ox ahead of Thiago and Fabinho, but come back to me on that one. And then my front would be, I would start Diaz because I'm starting Mane in the final, and I would put Divock up front. And on the left, I really don't want to play Mo, but I want to get the lead and then rest players. So I'd maybe start Mo, get an hour out of him, get the lead, and then he's another one of the players I'd bring off to rest him for the weekend. If not, I would play Ox wide right, where I would normally play Salah. And then I will bring in Naby or Jones into the midfield. So there's a few positions that I'm just flirting with a little bit, but I want to go 75 to 80% strong, get ahead, and then rest players, because we can't take Leeds lightly. And if we don't win this game, there's no point being excited about what Tottenham did, was there?
Matt, I know you're fresh in, but what's your opinion on starting 11?
I would go, obviously, Ali in goal. I'll bring back in Trent. I would go Ibu. I'll probably go, Ibu and Matip, even though a little bit risky because they haven't played. Trying to think if they played a lot this season. It's mainly been Van Dijk partnering one of the two, although I think those two are more than capable of doing well. I'll probably agree with Drift on Matip and Ibu. Left back, I actually think I'll be tempted to bring back in Robbo for rhythm, Because here's the thing: it's like you don't want to risk players too much, but at the same time, you don't want them to be like out of rhythm. And these guys are finely tuned athletes, and it's like sometimes you think, oh, if they miss that one game or 2 games and they come back into a final, they might look a bit rusty for half an hour, and then there might be some damage that's done. So I'll be tempted to go Robbo, but Tsimikas played well, you know. I probably will go Robbo though. Midfield, I will go Fabinho, Naby Keita, and Thiago. And then up front, I'll go Diaz, D9, and Salah.
Oh God!
And the reason I'm still going very strong up front is because we can't act like Leeds aren't a good team. We can't act like they can't beat us. We can't act like, you know, it's just an easy 3 points. This is still going to be a tough game. It just might look easy on paper because we won our last game and obviously, you know, they lost to Man United. So it's one of those things where people will just think, oh, well, you can kind of put out most players and we'll do the business. We need to kind of make sure we're on it. Because you want to know something? How much would it hurt us if we was to then draw or lose this game and be a bit on a downer, dropping points when we could have capitalized to obviously get to Man City to 3, and not only that, going into a final with either a loss or a draw. We kind of have to get that dub, people. So yeah, Bielsa must do about 500. Yeah, bro, you must do.
Shout out to 8092 Reds podcast. Make sure you check them out and subscribe over there as well.
We gotta go strong, man.
You know what? I dare anybody of any age above 12 to squat for half an hour.
It is mad.
Just
mate.
try it.
Do you know what's
what's your favorite show? EastEnders, whatever it is, your favorite Nickelodeon show, whatever it is, squat for that whole show. I dare you.
He's been doing that like his whole sort of football manager. I think that's what it is. He's just trained himself to be able to do it because that's the way he likes to see the game from that angle, isn't it? Like,
I'm gonna be real. I
bathed
bathed Robbie the other night, yeah, and I squatted to bath him. You see, when I tried to get up, I had to use the edge of the bath to prop myself up. And my legs were on fire.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Bare pressure, innit? It's just bare pressure, bro.
And you know what? It's not even just that. Cal, you know when you come back up for some reason, the air seems a bit thinner.
Yeah,
it's just head height, you know, bro. But you've been down there for so long, you come out and your head's like, whoa, hold on a minute. Like, bro, how does he do it for a whole football match, bro?
So we should do it. Like, it should be a thing, shouldn't it? Like the Bielsa challenge, like the cinnamon challenge was. How long can anyone actually...
Yeah, hey, that's a good shout, too. That's a very good shout, man.
There'll be hella visits to the emergency room if the Bielsa challenge becomes a thing.
Yeah,
bare ACLs and Achilles just popping, boy.
Yeah, for the NHS's sake, we don't want to trend that, do we?
So, Anthony, who would you start in this game for Leeds?
I think it sort of writes itself, our team at the minute. Like, it's just, like you say, it's such a small squad. There's just what we have for seniority, and then the squad is just a nursery. You know, it's just a bunch of kids, like it has been all season. So it'll be Meslier in net. It'll be Ayling. Well, I mean, you're playing 3 with the 1 in the middle, so it'll be a 4-1-4-1 then. Yeah, so it'll be Ayling, probably Llorente, Strike, and who's been playing left back, Dallas, unless Firpo comes back in. But I don't know if you watched the Leeds game at the weekend, but Firpo wasn't quite ready for it, but he had to be drafted in because Koch had concussion, which means he's going to be out for 2 weeks now. So who had to come in? It was ridiculous. It was Firpo, and he had barely any match fitness for like a month. And that third goal, he was just jogging back. I don't know if you saw that, but like he lost the ball and just couldn't catch up. He was just had no energy at all. So he's clearly just not match fit enough, and that's why I miss Alioski so much, because he would just run like a Duracell bunny for 90 minutes. But yeah, it'll probably be Dallas because I think he's fitter. Forshaw will have to come in for Koch, I think. he'll have to come in centre defensive midfield. So it's a stupid name, isn't it? We had.
just call him Kosh.
We had Strike and Cock at the back, so we had Stroke Cock at the back for about 3 months. Yeah, so it'll be.
Oh, we're so childish. I couldn't say that every week though in the lineup. Be like, yes, I'm gonna play Stroke Cock. Be like,
yeah, like the likes of like pundits reading that out on telly. It was quite nice to hear, definitely. So Forshaw will play centre defensive midfield, and I think it'll be Matthias Klick and Rodrigo, unless he plays up front. But he sort of interchanges with James. It's so fluid what happens from there. It's just interchanging players constantly. James will go up front, and then Rodrigo will press, and then James will drop, and it's usually just James or Rodrigo as up front, like between them. And then it'll be Harrison and Rafinha on the wings. But Rafinha was dropped at the weekend. I don't know if there's a falling out or if it's just on form. Because he has not been in great form, Rafinha, but he's still Rafinha. He has to be on the pitch, for God's sake. Like, it doesn't matter if he's in bad form. I mean, every player has a bit of bad form. You don't bench them because if you've got a player of that caliber, and it just didn't work on Saturday. Brought him on, and within 2 minutes he scored. So, it'll probably be straight back in the team tomorrow. I think I'd be shocked if he isn't after the second half. To be honest, you can't drop him. So it pretty much writes itself. The team now. There's one lad I really want to see start now. That's young Joe Gelhardt, Scouser lad. He really is something we don't have right now, which is a striker who can hold the ball up, who can cause defenders trouble. At the blink of an eye, I don't know what they're getting with him. He's both-footed. He just jogs into the box like with such confidence for a 19-year-old and just causes defenders problem. And we don't have a striker other than him. He was just literally sat there, and the only reason why he's not playing is, for me, his ability to play in Bielsa's way in terms of how strikers press. You know, Bamford does that so well, and I think Bielsa wants him to run in a certain way, and he's not able to do that like Bamford was. You know, he's not got the legs for it. But we don't need that right now. We need players with quality. We need players who are gonna cause the opposition problems that they don't predict, because we are becoming predictable right now. And Gelhardt is certainly that factor for us. And he came off the bench against Man United, and within minutes had Maguire in tangles, like his legs were tangled. But
that's every week, though. To be fair, for Harry Maguire,
yeah, I know, but it was so easy for him up until that point. So I'd love to see it, and I hope that performance will have done that for him, because I think with good players around him, Rafinha, Rodrigo around him, pace on the wings, he wins the ball back well. I just think it'd be a problem for you. It would be a problem for you, but I just don't see it happening because Bielsa's Bielsa. So we'll see.
Hopefully it doesn't. Right, guys, before we get your score predictions, just want to you guys. Just want to show you guys the latest odds for the first goal scorer presented by Fansbet, our sponsor. Guys, make sure you check out Fansbet. Click the link in the YouTube description and sign up. Please also visit begambleaware.org for more information on betting and gambling as well. So, just from this, Matt and Drift, sorry to do this to you on stream, Anthony, but who would you guys say would be the first goal scorer out of these guys on the list? Salah, Mane, Origi, Taki, or Diaz?
I don't think Minamino will play, which is how he won't get the first goal scorer. But I would go. Let's stick with the agenda. D9.
What about yourself, Matt?
Salah. I think it's either going to be Salah or because the thing is, I want to say D9, but it's just about you don't even know whether he's going to start. If he's starting, I'd actually would say he might be favourites to score. But it's just so hard to kind of predict the lineup. That's what makes it a bit tricky. But I would say odds are, in my opinion, they kind of favor Salah because I think the majority of us kind of expect him to start the game.
I'm actually going to go Mane. I think Mane starts and I think Mane scores. I think he scores the opener.
I feel like I'm just looking at the list of goal scorers here, like in front of me. It's just like I'm literally, he's just in my face before I'm gonna definitely.
I'm gonna just read out some super chats before we get the score prediction. So Zabiri says, "Welcome, Anthony. Was expecting a certain KG, but we moved. Yeah, KG couldn't make this show, so Anthony stepped in by himself into the lines there. So big up, Anthony." Where does Leeds finish in other leagues around Europe? No pressure on the squad. What do you reckon? Germany, where would they finish?
I don't know. Like there's certain teams in there with managers that are quite, eccentric as well. You don't know, do you? I suppose I've seen a bit of German football. Last year I went to see Hertha Berlin play Hoffenheim. And the standard was very poor, to be honest. Like I was watching two teams there that could have been in League One. Like
Wow.
that was just that game. I don't know enough about German football to say, but based on that evidence, a comfortable sort of bottom half to mid-table finish would probably be doable. That's for sure. I mean, you look at Rangers, who've just totally dismantled Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
Like I watched that, they totally trash them, you know what I mean? Without Haaland, that's Borussia Dortmund considered a top 4 team. So, I mean, I think a lot of the Premier League teams would do well in the Bundesliga, to be honest, as it is now.
A-Spec says, Anthony, what type of mentality, attitude does Rafinha have? Would he be willing to play second fiddle to Salah? Also, can he play other positions?
Now, that's one thing that I'm not too sure about, to be honest. I think he'd need assurances that he would get a good amount of game time. I think that's what the evidence we're getting right now with Rafinha. And for me, just it looks dodgy in terms of, and no one's suggesting it, and I'm just using my own eyes when I see a face like a smacked ass sat on the bench that I don't think he's happy, being on Leeds United's bench. And I think he rates himself at the very highest level. So I'd imagine he'd need assurances of game time, and I don't think he'd be happy with that now. I think I did listen today whilst I was in gym to your podcast last night. We talked about Anthony being a better option for when Salah eventually goes, and I think that would be a bit. I'm not saying that because I want Rafinha to stay or anything. I do get it where you've got a player there you can develop into that position, whereas Rafinha, he's 26. It'd be right now. He wants to be able to be making a difference in the team. You've also signed Diaz. Mane's got a few years, and Jota obviously as well. So it's hard to say really, but I think he would be needing assurances at that level, definitely.
Fair dues. The battle continues with him and Matt says, Matt, good news, bro. Anthony said he would take Naby.
That doesn't surprise me. Naby's a good player. Why would you not want a good player at your club?
Roberts will have that.
You know what I mean? He's an upgrade. Of course, he's an upgrade.
Let's be honest. If I was Bielsa, I'd be all over Divock. Leave him for free.
Yeah,
I'd be all over that. Like,
that'd be amazing.
No, that's an absolute no-brainer. But
I literally would take a pick and mix in Liverpool's team and just pull one out. We should be well with that. Like, yeah, it's just anyone right now. We just need strength in numbers. We've just got at least 3 or 4 18-year-olds on the bench every game that just aren't ever gonna play. They're not gonna play. They're not good enough to play, and they're just there, sat there. They're not playing in the under-23s because they're sat on our bench, so they're not playing football at all. They're just sat there. So it's moronic for me. I don't understand it. There you go.
A-Spec says, I think Klopp will pick as close to the team that will start the final for Rhythm, then make changes after an hour. I probably think so as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going with.
Yeah.
I think he will.
That's what I was kind of saying, about keeping the rhythm, yeah.
Ash says, Bielsa's glute game is ridiculous. Women up and down the country should be doing Bielsa work.
I should be releasing the thing on YouTube.
Well, maybe when he retires, that's what he'll do. He'll bring out a workout tape.
Workout video or something.
People think it's a joke. Go and squat for 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
I'll be honest. If I come home one evening and I see my missus watching Bielsa on the screen squatting, I'm switching the telly off. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna take the remote and be like, "Sorry, baby, I can't." All right, let's get predictions before we head off. As our guest, Anthony, what's your prediction for the game tomorrow? Score-wise.
Oh, God, why'd you have to make me do this? God. Well, I think we'll score, actually. I think it'll be very similar to the way the game at Man United went, but a lot worse because you're Liverpool. So I think on the break and with players with pace, and you play a very high line, I think we have proven in the past and the games previous, if you take moments in the 3-0 defeat earlier in the season, we did get behind you. We just failed to take his chances. Dread what chances we did have. I mean, Mane had 10 shots and we had 9 shots, so that tells you how that went. So I think we'll score. I think it'll probably be like a 4-1 loss. So there you go, 4-5-1 loss, and I'd be happy with that. If it's no more than 4. If it's no more than 4, I'll take the L, definitely. Like, I just want to see us adapt, and I just don't see it happening. Like, so we'll see.
Hope it doesn't happen tomorrow. Matt, what's your scoreline?
Boy, it will be tougher than Norwich. However, I see us beating them 3-0, you know. Us being at home and us just... I think we're on that mission now. We know what's at stake. I'm expecting us to go out there and really set pace. So I'm going to say 3-0 Liverpool, you know.
Cool. Drift, what are you saying, bro?
After that Norwich performance where we got a little bit rattled, I can see Leeds scoring maybe in a similar way. Remember, they do have Dan James, and if Rafinha plays as well, we've got pace, and if they do the timing of the run right, we'll get in a few times, and I'm always worried when we play teams who've got pace, always, which is why I'm probably thinking maybe Konate and Van Dijk might actually be a better pairing, because it's one on each side to counter the pace that Leeds do have. Matip isn't quick, and even though he's intelligent, it might not be the best game to play him in. So maybe Virgil and Konate would actually be better for the pace. I was going to say 2-0, but I think Leeds will score, so I'm going to say 2-1.
Ooh, that's crazy. I've got the same score, Drew.
I'd be happy with that. I was so horrible that I'd be happy with that, but I would. 2-1 would show we've done well in the game, to be honest. But no, I can't see anything more than if you score, early, you'll open the floodgates, which just probably I think we'll get in behind you 1 or 2 times, definitely. So I think you're right there. But 2-1.
Dan James is in 4 minutes, hasn't he? Like, he's playing well at the moment.
Yeah, he is playing really well. I went to the Villa game away. He was unbelievable, to be fair. It's taken time to get up to his price tag, I suppose, like 25 million. I thought they'd had his hands off there, Man United, but Bielsa's always obsessed over him. He loves the kid, and you can see what he wants to do with him. He wants a player that can come in when players like Bamford are out and press really, really intelligently and with unbelievable pace and endeavour and energy. And he does that better than anyone right now. That's one thing I will say, is in your face constantly, and it is good to see. But now he's starting to add end product to his game as well. So I think I was baffled why he wasn't starting with Rafinha against Man United, because those two, Harrison's not in form. I know he scored a hat-trick against West Ham, but other than that, he has 1 or 2 games where he's all right. But yeah, I do think those players can cause you issues. It's just a shame we don't have a striker. Like Bamford, I'd have been much more confident if he was in there. But I don't think I'd be surprised if we see him for the rest of the season. So
AA says, Matt, you said tomorrow game is important and a hard game, but you started Naby. Which is it then? But by the way, D9 hat-trick incoming. Wait, look, Matt, AA on Matt. Save it till Friday. That's save it till Friday.
I was gonna say
we're on the same
And
team.
I beg none of you
Friday.
to do an Amir Khan either. I beg you.
Amir Khan, you know.
But no, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us on this show. We appreciated it. It's nice to hear from a Leeds fan.
Big up, man.
Definitely. Thank you for coming on, bro.
So no, thank you.
Good
Matt, we'll be back. So obviously can't do a watch along tomorrow. We'll be back before the game on some platforms. So keep an eye on socials. We here during halftime, and then also, as always, we'll be here after the game on YouTube as well. So make sure you tune in for that. Leave your comments in the comment section below about who you'd start, your score predictions, and make sure you check out FansBet as well. Click the link in the description. Head over to FansBet, register, and put your bets down. Boys, it's been a good one. So thank you everyone for watching. Like the video if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Until we see you tomorrow, stay safe, stay blessed. We're Kopish and we're out, people. Take care.
Peace.
A bit.